Hey guys, welcome back to the next devlog update for my airport sim game. In case you haven't seen my previous devlogs, I'm currently creating a airport sim game in Unreal Engine 5 using a combination of C++ and blueprints. So the game is in very early development still at the moment. I'm mainly working on the core framework of the game mechanics. At the moment there's not really many visual art assets other than just test assets really. In this update, I'd like to show the current state of the buildability and the current state of the transport network system. Okay, so let's take a look at the current state of the buildability if we jump into game. Alright, so if I open this up, so we've currently got dynamically built menus with categories which are being generated by gameplay tags on the individual data assets. So we can pop into those, put some options there. At the moment, most of the static items don't actually do anything. It just spawns an actual item. So for example, we can spawn a terminal. We can make some stands. We can build a runway. But at the moment, it doesn't actually do anything. So we're just getting the actual buildability set up. I've been making quite a bit of progress on the transport network system as well. So under transport, we've got a few options: road, footpath and rail. And we'll also see we've got the option for curved and straight building. The curved is kind of inspired by how it works in City Skylines. So start point, control, and a click. And then you can continue that as you go around. We can switch to rail. And we can build like so. And you can also see I'm in the early stages of the junction detection and the overlapping. So if I build across these, you've got some rather primitive spline detection going on there, and it's splitting the segments up and creating those junctions there in between. And that's pretty much where how the buildability looks at the moment. So if I jump out of game for a moment, I can show you how that looks in the editor. So under buildable items, we've got our actual data table where all the data assets are listed. And this is what the buildability menu will use to populate the menus. And then we've got blueprints specific to each type of item really. So for example, here we have a control tower and the actual data asset, which at the moment is just some basic stuff like the static mesh, the unlock year, build cost, etc. So while I've been developing the transport network building, I've been putting a lot of thought into how that's actually going to tie in with the game's pathfinding. I really want to be able to have different types of roads, different types of rail, maybe have one-way roads, maybe have two-way rail, etc. I quite like the system again you find in City Skylines, where you can adjust the road, you can set the lanes. So I've started setting up a data asset which allows us to create a lane profile, and I've also created a blueprint which helps to visualize the lane profile that when we edit it. So the main thing really is this here, which is the actual data asset. So we'll just have a name for it, and this will contain an array of lanes for that data asset. And the idea is the data asset can be assigned to the build item data asset that we use when we're actually building the items. And we can see here we've got a lane offset, we've got a network type, which allow us to build the correct data when we're doing when we get to pathfinding, and the lane direction, which is just simply forwards or backwards, just so we know which way along the segment we're trying to go, which is just this enum up here. And then how that actually ties into these So taking one of the actual network assets, so let's take rail for example. So we've got the actual rail data asset, which is the actual build item data asset. And inside of that, we can assign a lane profile to it. So for example, if I wanted to have a different type of rail, like just a single track one-way rail, I would create a new rail asset, change the mesh here, and then change the lane profile there, for it. So then to visualize these lane profiles, if I take a look in transport, I believe, yeah. So I've set up this basic lane profile editor blueprint. And inside of here, we can change the preview mesh. So for example, I can assign that test rail mesh. And then we can change the lane profile. And it will show it for us. And if we make an adjustment to this, so if I change that to one of these to 100, for example, and save it, and compile it, it'll update in this little blueprint editor. And we can make adjustments so it lines up with the actual mesh that will be used with. So that's really handy. So when we actually build the network assets, such as road or rail, for example, what's actually happening underneath the hood is we're making a network segment. We're assigning the data asset, and that data asset has the lane profile assigned to it. So in theory, we're starting to build all the data we're going to need in the future when we start building the pathfinding. We'll be able to tell who can use what and where, and how different segments are going to connect to each other. So hopefully we're building a good foundation here to make life a bit easier later on down the line. So thanks for watching this devlog update. Not sure when I'll post the next update, as progress is pretty slow at the moment. I'll probably start posting more once the progress starts picking up a bit of speed. In the meantime, I'd really love to hear your feedback and any ideas you've got for the game. Other than that, see you next time.